let's get on to the reaction to the riots over the weekend, which has been, honestly, in many ways predictable and in many ways totally inflammatory and designed to make people hate the ruling class even more than they do. For example, we've got our own fiery but mostly peaceful moment. This was just, honestly, it's just comical, absolutely comical. Sky News, obviously, well-known left-wing broadcaster that supports everything that the globalist regime do and hate everything that is parochial and local to England and to Britain, tries to run cover for them.
And look very pleased about it whilst they did it. Then there was this, as I say, clash between protesters and the police, and that is when they then ran off across the park here. A big group ran off.
I mean, literally, gang of Muslim men carrying machetes while they're pouring scorn on the English protesters and rioters. It's just like, oh my God, okay.
Well, this is to be expected, right? It's not like we've been silent on this.
No.
You know, people have known this has been going on for at least 10 years.
Yeah, this is just what the British media is like. Mm-hmm. And the media that isn't like this, and when I say that, I mean basically GB News, they want them shut down and investigated by Ofcom and banished from public discourse. And so this is just the kind of, again, it's just an emblematic case. There has been violence and rioting from both kinds of communities, both the English community and the Muslim community, and only one side gets covered, only one side gets demonized, the other side get a free pass, even when it's happening behind the journalist reporting on it. And then, so let's go to the elite class. How have the elite class been handling this? Well, the Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, was interviewed by her husband on Good Morning Britain about how bad this is and what they're going to do. And that shows you everything you need to know about the incestuous and, again, globalist nature of the Westminster environment.
Ed Balls did do my favourite tweet of all time, though.
Go on.
It's just tweeting his own name. He just tweeted Ed Balls out into the void.
It's not a Google search, Mr. Balls. Anyway, this is just unbelievable. And they complain. Ofcom will do nothing about this. This wasn't disclosed. A lot of people don't realise that Yvette Cooper's married to Ed Balls. It's just normal for this to be the case, this kind of incestuous relationship. And you can imagine how powerfully he interrogated his wife on the subject that's going on and how well he represented those people who don't feel represented in every other place. The media ecosphere in this country is just demented, frankly. And they don't represent information fairly.
It's amazing that the same people who will say, you know, we need to shut down the right-wing media will say there's nothing wrong with a husband interviewing his wife, who also happens to be the Home Secretary.
Yeah, and Ofcom won't do or say anything about it. Nothing will happen.
No.
This is completely normal for these people to propagandize the British nation with this sort of web of connections. Anyway, speaking of propagandizing people and misinformation, let's go to then Hope Not Hate's Nick Lowles, who decided what he was going to do. He'd seen a clip that had been going around WhatsApp of a Muslim chap, you can tell by the accent, claiming that white British lads have been throwing acid at Muslim women, and so we need to get out into the streets to protect our Muslim women. And Nick Lowles, for some reason, tweets this, saying reports coming in of acid being thrown out of a car window at a Muslim woman in Middlesbrough, which is exactly what was claimed in the WhatsApp message. And of course, it got community noted there because the police had to come out and go, no one has been acid attacked, remarkably, on this day.
Nick is just a big supporter of #BelieveAllMuslims.
Yeah, it didn't happen, Nick. Didn't happen. And so the police were like, nope, that's not the case. But before this could get community noted, the misinformation that the communist organisation Hope Not Hate has been spreading had, of course, got to a Labour MP. This chap is the Labour MP for Calder Valley. I don't even know what that is. But he had tweeted this out, and as you can see, this is his retraction saying, actually, I've removed the post about acid attackers because the police said it wasn't true. I'm guilty of spreading misinformation. It's like, yes, you are, Josh. And who did you spread it to? You spread it to the Muslim community, who themselves believe it happened.
Our fathers have come from a different country to here. We were born here. We are British, Pakistanis, we are Muslims. We will stand here. We will fight against EDL. We will fight our ground. Our innocent Muslim sisters are getting acid attacked. Mosques are getting broken. But everyone should be here. Fuck the EDL.
He's got his wish because the EDL doesn't exist.
Yeah, but I'm glad that person's in the country. Glad he lives here. Anyway, speaking of the EDL, they've decided to go after Tommy Robinson for some reason. Tommy Robinson is on holiday in Cyprus. Like, okay, he was not in the country before the riot started. He didn't tell people to go and riot. In fact, he's put on many videos saying don't be violent. Why are we talking about Tommy Robinson? But this doesn't appear to be connected to him.
They're throwing mud until it sticks, aren't they?
Exactly.
They're trying to they're using this as an opportunity to target their political opponents.
Exactly. Again,
I assume it's the Greek side of Cyprus.
well, yeah, let's assume so. But yeah, I mean, it might be on the Turkish side. Who knows? But the point is, he's not actually involved in these riots, and all he said on social media is, "Don't go and do it."
Did that last guy mention Indians as well? The Indian will fight the Indians.
I can't remember. But he seemed like a very, very aggressive chap, emboldened by Keir Starmer's government. So let's go to what I'm going to generously class as the shitlibs, the liberal, globalist Westminster types who are just insufferable. Oh, thank you, secret, smug barrister. You don't have to attend a riot to be prosecuted for conspiracy to riot. You don't have to be present at a terrorist incident to be guilty of encouraging it. A lot of Twitter warriors were getting unpleasant knocks on the door over the coming weeks. Right. So what he's hoping is that the people who disagree with his incredibly left-wing views politically are arrested by Starmer. That is a signal to the Starmer government. Go and arrest Nigel Farage. Go and arrest Tommy Robinson. Go and arrest whoever. That's what he's hoping for.
What a worm tongue thing. You could tweet anything you want within reason. And that's sort of his take, what he goes with. It's just people are less and less scared of these sort of threats, indirect threats. You know, take for example, Sam Mellier. People aren't scared by the example of Sam Mellier. They're just enraged by it.
Yeah.
Right?
Unacceptable.
Well, it's so obvious injustice. If you're putting up stickers with facts and you get arrested for it, then...
Have you considered the hate facts, Josh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Lots of people aren't necessarily scared by the police. Well, clearly, evidently. They're not scared. That's not scary.
No, but what this is a message in the network that he's in. Yeah. Say, you know what, Keir, all of your leak, because he's a lawyer, Keir Starmer's a lawyer, so they're going to have some sort of, shared overlapping network of people where they're like, look, you should just go after the political opponents who have been, quote unquote, encouraging this. And they've all been saying that Nigel Farage and all the rest of Reform are totally responsible for this. And okay, we're at that point where it's just like, no, open demonization and the desire to shut down any political opposition because of this.
I'm not sure if I'm going to foreshadow something that you're going to say, but did you see how Keir mobilised for the potential riots before Friday, in that he got a team of lawyers ready?
Oh yeah, what a shock! What a shock! I didn't know that though. I didn't know he knew this was coming.
A secret barrister not using his real name or a real picture or anything.
Yeah, very brave. Anyway, moving on. They're all just racists, says noted shitlib commentator Ian Dunt. They're not really anti-immigration. They're just racist. They're racist. They're just racist. Okay, great. Okay, Ian, we've established it. You think they're racist. So what? They still have claims to the country because they still have rights. That you can't just dehumanize them by saying they're racist and therefore just do whatever you want to them.
Rights. Oh, sorry.
Did you see Ian Dunt tweet that our side of the equation, if you like, have got no legitimate concerns?
Yes. This is it. Well, that's
no
why
legitimate concerns.
When he says they're racist, that's what he's saying.
Yeah, he's pretty much setting up to say the only legitimate citizens are the people who agree with my politics. Anyone else is illegitimate and it's okay to take their rights away.
And everyone kept reposting a screenshot of him saying just simply riots work. Yeah, when he was talking about
in 2015,
the other side.
Yeah. When he was talking about left-wing riots. Yeah, stunning endorsement. But we'll talk more about that in the hangout we'll do after this. And then, so you had a government advisor calling for COVID-style controls against the riots. So he wants lockdowns. Presumably lockdowns for the English, not for the minority communities. Right. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't like Keir Starmer being in charge. Maybe he should try it.
If they were to do one thing that would make the situation more explosive, that would be it.
They've done a lot of things that make the situation more explosive. And so the Muslim community, as you said, have been out on the streets. You've got hundreds of them, again, armed. I'm not going to play the video because we've seen it all. And then you've got the Muslim Defense League attacking police and protesters. So this is from the BBC, and I'm going to play it because it's a remarkable and refreshing small point of honesty from the BBC. One of the few things, so I thought we'd showcase it.
Yes, in the past hour or so, the protest here has dispersed, but as you can see, there's still a very heavy police presence here in Bolton. This was billed as a peaceful pro-British march at 1 o'clock this afternoon. And to be fair, both sides, the counter-protest and that protest, were kept apart. It was fairly small. It was fairly peaceful, but it was around about 1:30 when there was around about 250 to 300 members of the Asian community that came charging up one of the side streets here, up towards the counter-protest site, charged at a police line, and that became a real flashpoint. There were chants of Allahu Akbar, which people weren't happy about here, and that's where tensions really did start to grow. That's where the police then had to kit up in all their riot gear. They were having to get the police horses in to create a line. They were throwing eggs at one point at the police, and that's when things then deteriorated to the point that there was disorder in nearby streets, because both sides of this protest then ran round into nearby town centre streets, and there was a real flashpoint at one point where there were smoke bombs, there were fireworks, there were bits of broken tile.
Right, so you get the point. The Muslim community was attacking the police. The police who have sided with the Muslim community. Right, this is just unbelievable. As you've seen, Muslims just patrolling around attacking English people, but the police themselves totally on side.
They'll jump straight out and we'll just standing here. Yeah. So when it's nice and calm, we go stay right here.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
And when things escalate, come out.
Yeah. We understand. Yeah, that's fine.
I just need you to understand we're not against you guys. We're
no.
We're here to help and protect you.
We all understand. Yeah. Appreciate that.
We're not against you guys. We're here to help and protect you. Okay. Is there any kind of empathy, any kind of signaling to the working class rioters, the far right rioters, that the police are not against you guys, but we're here to protect you and work with you? No. It's entirely one-sided. And the thing is, the Muslims don't want it. They don't care. They're like, no, we're not interested.
We're not sheep. We're not fucking getting caught. We've seen it in other towns as well. I've seen this. We're going to be doing mosques anyway. We'll be doing that all day. We don't need you. We've got ourselves, mate.
There we go. We don't need you. We've got ourselves, mate. We're not sheep. They don't like the police. They don't want to be a protected client class of the police. And so, sorry, go on.
It seems like over the past few weeks, even before these riots had taken place and the Southport attack happened, that there have been pushes, particularly in Leeds, for autonomy from
100%
from Muslim communities. Right, they're pushing to become their own sort of autonomous regions in the UK because they have Muslim majority areas. They want their own community policed by themselves.
Yeah,
Sharia.
Yeah, exactly.
It's part of the religion that you should live under Sharia.
Mm-hmm.
And so the police represent English law, or at least nominally. Even that's not, even if they're completely on board with them, it's not enough.
But we saw this resistance in Leeds and Manchester, where the police were basically driven out. So, never mind. But of course, like I said, there have been lots of attacks on English people. None of these people are going, like literally armed mobs attacking English people in the street. None of those people, as far as I'm aware, have been arrested. However, there have been arrests of course, the quote-unquote far right, which means English working class. The police have been going forensically through the footage and whatnot, identifying people and arresting them. They could have been this active against burglaries or against any other crimes, rapes, who knows? No, they're really, really interested in getting these people for some reason. Over 100 people have been arrested, apparently, since the original Southport riots. So, great. And, of course, Keir Starmer has decided we're going to have 24-hour courts running non-stop. So, armies of extra lawyers and courts running non-stop in order to prosecute these people. Again, they could have done this for any crime. Any crime. They could have done this for grooming gangs. They could have done this for terrorism. They could have done this for just the low-level, like the smash and grab raids on shops, the machete fights in the street, like
illegal immigration.
They could have done it for illegal immigration.
I think in like 2011 when there was those riots then, and they did it then for a while.
Yeah.
But we know for a fact that there's something in the order, what is it, 40 or 50,000 proper jihadis, literally by definition jihadis in Britain.
Yeah.
Don't round them up with 24-hour.
No, that's all fine. The fact that 95% of burglaries go uninvestigated, don't worry about it. But as soon as the English are out on the street protesting, well, now you've got 24-hour courts and we're going to stamp this out. Right?
Well, even Tony Blair in 2004 had a coordinated raid across the entirety of the UK, a dawn raid, all at the same time, and arrested all of the organising members of Antifa. Now they're not a problem in the UK ever since. No. And that was Tony Blair as well.
And so
Dark Lord himself.
Keir Starmer originally, after the riots in Southport, came out and gave extremely inflammatory speech, basically saying how he was the protector of the Muslim community, he was against the far right, and he was going to stamp down on them. And then he came out and gave another speech where on the 4th, where he just openly threatens everyone, and just says, look, this is organised violent thuggery and you will regret it, says Keir Starmer. So it's essentially a declaration of war on the working class communities of England. And then in the Q&A of this, he says, if you target people because of their skin colour or faith, then that's far right, and I'm prepared to say so. So the Muslims who are targeting people because of their skin colour and their faith, as we saw here, they're far right. However, as Keir Starmer pointed out, he is the protector of the Muslim community. So these people are under his watch, under his auspices. This has, I think, undoubtedly emboldened them, and none of these people will be prosecuted. They won't be going through the 24-hour courts. The police won't be dawn raiding them like they are the other people. No, Keir Starmer only cares about the English rioters. That's his point.
In the Q&A after that second one, someone didn't ask him directly, but they sort of asked, what about the concerns or what about the motivations of these people? And he just said, it doesn't matter. He said it a number of times. It doesn't matter. It's essentially saying, but what about those 3 girls that were murdered? And people keep forgetting there was like another 8 and a teacher that I think were terribly wounded. Yeah, their lives changed forever and completely traumatized forever.
Even the ones that weren't wounded were still traumatized. They're still young girls, aren't they?
And he basically says, it doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, I've got the exact quote. He says, it doesn't matter what the motivation is. The motivation for the vast majority of people in the country is to see their streets safe. So, I mean, Dan was like, wow. He actually said that about the murder of 3 girls. It doesn't matter that that's your motivation. It doesn't matter that a second-generation immigrant from Rwanda decided to target a dance school full of girls doing like a little Taylor Swift dance, whatever. Like, you'd have to go out of your way specifically to find this. This wasn't just a random, spontaneous attack. This was planned. It doesn't matter that you feel unsafe in your country, right? That's what Keir Starmer thinks. For Keir Starmer, what matters is that the globalist liberal order is protected at all costs, that the clients of this are made safe, and the people who threaten them are suppressed. That's what matters to Keir Starmer.
The frustrating thing about what he's saying there is that many of the concerns about illegal immigration are centered around protecting our women and children.
Illegal immigration.
Yeah, and any kind of immigration. Yeah. That's why people are angry about this in the first place, is because it's making the people who live here less safe.
Yeah, 100%. And so naturally the 2-tier Keir meme has been going around because, again, you can see the difference. Right?
Be in no doubt,
I was shocked.
Those that have participated in this
violence,
killing
of George Floyd,
will face the full
and the
force
response
of the law.
President Trump,
the police
and the US
will be
authorities.
making arrests.
Right, so you can see the difference in tone. This is obviously Black Lives Matter riots, and he's like, "Well, we need to listen to the black community. Like we need to take a gentle hand." On the right, of course, when the English community is rioting, it's like, "No, you're going to get stamped on. I'm going to be using the full force of the state to stamp on you.
You're going to regret it.
You are going." I mean, he literally said, "We will make sure you regret this." It's like, yeah, I believe it. I absolutely believe it. Now, I called all of this. I told everyone, look, he's going to govern the country like he governed his party. He's an absolute dictator in his party. Notice how none of the Labour Party are coming out and countersing him or anything like that. But we'll talk about this all in the premium hangout afterwards, as we'll talk about Yvette Cooper's response to this as well, which was just bonkers, frankly, absolutely bonkers.
I'm somewhat optimistic, actually, about the nature of Keir cracking down on the sort of legitimate criticisms of this sort of thing, right? The actual speech side of it that should be free and legal, because I don't think he's nearly as competent as he needs to be the sort of Keir Stalin that he is referred to as.
Yeah, quite possibly not. But the point being is the ethos and motivation that we're seeing from them is just, we are against you. We don't care. You have no legitimate grievances. You have nothing good or bad, good about you, and nothing to say in your own defense. And that's the official government line, is we are for the minorities, we are against the majority. That's Keir Starmer's line. And that's Yvette Cooper's line. After 2 nights of protests fueled by rumors spread online, the Prime Minister announced a crackdown on far-right thugs. I mean, literally, she says at the beginning of this, a harsh reckoning will come for racist thugs on British streets. Okay, that's good. A reckoning is coming, not because of thuggery. We've seen thuggery on both sides, but we've only seen racism on one side, according to the UK government. So the issue isn't the thuggery, it's the racism part of the thuggery that is the issue. And we know this because, look at this. 30 million is going to be poured out of the government coffers for protection for mosques. Oh, great. Great, that's right. So
not Taylor Swift dance classes for little
girls. No, there won't be any protection for, in fact, like we won't, no protection for synagogues and churches. I mean, synagogues have been attacked because of the pro-Palestine marches and stuff like that. Churches regularly set on fire, actually.
They just spontaneously combust.
Yeah, no protection for them, but we will have...
They cannot be saved, churches.
Exactly. It's
cannot.
The Jewish community, sorry, nothing we can do. No money. £20 billion black hole in the finances. Oh, but we are going to cut the winter fuel allowance for pensioners. So Granny might want to wrap up, put a second layer on, but we are going to be pouring out money to protect the mosques. Again, the dividing line is just stark on this, and it's totally inappropriate. Totally unacceptable.
To be fair, by the winter, if Labour carries on governing the way it is, there'll be plenty of fires to warm Granny on the streets.
Anyway, so we got a statement from the leader of the opposition, Rishi Sunak. In shocking scenes, these have no place in our society. The police have our full support to deal with these criminals swiftly. What do you mean, opposition? That's Keir Starmer's line. It's exactly the same line. There's absolutely nothing to speak about the reason for this happening. And so, of course, Nigel Farage is the only actual opposition who put out himself a rather tepid statement initially saying, well, look here, there's an underlying reason for this and you're not dealing with it. And of course, after this weekend, he said, well, look, Parliament needs to be recalled so we can have a proper debate about these riots. Because, of course, he disavows all the violence, which, of course, we do as well. Everyone should. But there is an issue here, as he says, with two-tier policing, and this is not being dealt with. And because this is getting really bad, again, just countrywide riots, internationally, Muslim countries don't go there, actually. There's a travel warning for England at this point. Both them and for some reason that didn't work, but both them and Malaysia have issued travel warnings for the UK, which is like, okay, fine.
Yeah, good. Okay, fine.
Whatever. Yeah. But the point is, we'll cover this in more detail in the premium podcast we're going to do after this about the actual depth and the problems of the state response and what it means, what's going to happen coming after it.
I hope you appreciated that segment from the podcast The Lotus Eaters. And if you want to see what else we're doing, you can follow Dan's series, Brokenomics, where he talks about broken systems. And if you want to see all the other work that we're putting out and you don't want to miss anything, you can follow us on Twitter. And we always post links to all of the work we're putting out so you don't miss a single thing. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.